This is the Groove Guru podcast. My name is Windsor, and my guest today is Russell Gilbrook. Russell is currently the drummer in British rock band Uriah Heep, who have sold over 40 million albums worldwide. And along the way, you've worked with jazz musician Chris Barber OBE, Alan Price, original keyboardist for The Animals, and Pete Bardens of Camel. You've also worked with Tommy Iommi of Black Sabbath, Lonnie Donegan, the king of Skiffle, Van Morrison, power metal group Avantasia, and you even replaced Cozy Powell in Bedlam. You're also an experienced clinician and educator, and I've taught on Sky TV. Russell, thank you for being here today, and welcome to the Groove Guru, the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Windsor. This is great. Good fun.
Pleasure, man. Awesome. And first of all, recently saw you got married, so yeah, many congratulations on that.
Thanks
awesome stuff, man. Yeah, cool. And just some past context, how we met. I first saw you at, it was in Glasgow. It was a clinic you were doing for McCormack's Music up there. And it was a place I used to get a lot of my old formative kit from there. And, that clinic, wasn't just one of the best ones that I'd seen from a playing perspective and informatively useful, but also one of the most fun, which I think is what it's all about. And, a few years later, we even did one together in Essex, which was a bit of a blast as well.
Oh, yeah.
And really great to reconnect again today.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't do too many clinics at the moment. I'm just so busy with Heep. I still like doing them. And when some offers have come up, I've just been too busy. But no doubt there will be some more once I get a few gaps in the diary. Because, it's gone down a slightly different road now, the clinic scene, I feel. And it'd be nice to get back at a bit more fun and a bit more sort of what I would consider drumming that the majority of the drummers can get their heads round to play, and stuff that you would do on tour, you can bring to the table, and those little finer details to help people on their Saturday night gigs, I think goes a long way.
Absolutely. All about that, musical application rather than just stick tricks here and there and chops, which are fine in its own right, but that musical application, really makes a difference. And, speaking of which, I see, you've been out with Heep again quite a lot. I think I saw you were in Finland recently with Accept and Deep Purple.
Correct.
How was that?
Brilliant. We did 6 festivals with them. We've been out for 3 weeks, 22 festivals, and 6 of them with the Purple Boys, who are great mates of ours, and Accept, actually, good friends of ours. We had a good old catch up and a bit of a drink together. And obviously the people are very excited because they've been hit hard with the pandemic, the same as us. So there's a lot of energy and excitement about interacting with the crowds and everything. And it was great to hear them play as well as they heard us play, and have a good old catch up and chat.
Yeah, great. And, for the audiences, I've never seen audiences enjoy and really appreciate live music, but these days it's happening again. And even in the face of the performers like you, I saw some footage of you playing with Heep, and just I love the joy that just comes through in your face when you're playing, and it's just always inspiring to see.
Nothing better than playing the drums. And you're right, the 30 hours on a tour bus or hanging around in airports can be very, tedious and wears you out and stuff like that. But if the gigs weren't as good as they were, of course you wouldn't do it. But the gigs just wipe it all out, because it's such a wonderful feeling to be on stage. The fans are with you, they're singing your songs. I'm playing a musical instrument that I've worked hard for, and enjoying the fans and the musicians around me. I mean, I've got to enjoy it. I love it too much not to enjoy it.
Yeah, awesome. That's what it's all about. Loving it, man. And so obviously you've been playing with Heep for quite a while now. Was it 2007?
Yeah,
you joined them?
15 years now.
Wow, awesome. So yeah, definitely want to make that continue, and definitely want to get into a Heep and stuff. And so just plotting the journey, the process for you. So how did you get started with drumming? How did that show up?
I was born playing drums. Apparently, from the age where I could crawl, I used to crawl over to the Hoover and put my head on it for the vibrations. And my dad plays piano semi-professionally, and when he used to tap his foot for the timing, I used to go and rest my hand on it. So that was about 18 months old. And then I used to, get the old plastic bowls and spoons and tap along to the melodies if the radio was on or whatever it was. And so they thought when I got to about 4, I think we got a bit of a drummer, because I would be non-stop doing it. And I had my first drum lesson when I was 4, and we an old big band drummer in Leytonstone called Georgie Scott. It was quite well known back then. And at the age of 6, I was in a little band with another organ player who played obviously the pedals with his feet. Very, very good he was. 2 years older than me. So I was 6, he was 8. And I was earning 30 quid a week doing clubs and bits and pieces.
Great.
And it just moved on from then. I went to the Great Bob Armstrong when I was 8. No, I didn't. I went to Great Bob Armstrong when I was 6. And I was with him for 8 years till I was 14. And because I was obviously had a bit of a talent for it, I excelled as a kid. I used to get a lot of work, and my dad used to take me, and I used to end up talking to my dad for 10 minutes, and my dad saying, "Hang on a minute, I'm not the drummer, he is." And this tiny little dot sitting down drinking a Coke was me. And they panicked a bit, as you would do, because they're doing a proper professional gig. But obviously I did the job well, and I used to get rebooked, and that's really why I never get nervous when I play. I get excited about wanting to do a great gig and have a connection with the fans and everything, and make my fellow musicians feel good. But because I did it for such a young age, it didn't mean anything to me. And I was reading, at 10, I was reading music like it was a book. Didn't bother me. I decked out Jesus Christ Superstar when I was 12 in the West End. I mean,
Wow.
that scares me now, because I don't do as much reading music now. I don't have to. When I'm doing sessions, they're booking me to play. So I sort of sketch out a skeleton arrangement of what I want to play. And if it is a little bit more particular, I just write out, some notation for it. But the days of sight reading and having to read something a little bit more exact, I've done it for 25 years, and you do lose the touch.
Yeah, it's like if you don't use it, you lose it, type thing.
Do.
Yeah, and that's pretty awesome, because like you're saying, you depped out Jesus Christ Superstar at 12, and like I'm thinking West End these days, any musicians there playing in the pit at 12, it's like, I don't think so, you know?
I think that.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
Awesome.
the scene's changed a lot from that, but I did just I was almost Bob Armstrong's number 1 dep for all the stuff that he couldn't do, just because obviously it made sense that I was the new generation drummer, if you like, and I was good enough, and it didn't faze me. So I'd gained experience enough where, as a kid, I wouldn't panic or anything like that. I just, I didn't know any different. I took to it just like any kid would take to anything when they're really young. So it was a big help for me, and a great grounding for me to get my arse roasted, as they called it. There'd been plenty of times. I remember doing a gig for Bob in the West End. It was like I can't remember what it was, like some club thing. Obviously, I was allowed in there, but I always remember they were really good musicians. I can't remember the name of them. I only did one, you see. He said, go up there. It was like a bit of a roasting gig. And I absolutely nailed it, because I can read anything, right? How did it go, Russ? Like the next lesson I had with him, I said, I nailed it for you, mate. He said, no, you didn't. And I was like a bit confused. I said, I did. I said, didn't make any mistakes, Bob. I promise you I didn't. I said, no. He said, no, you didn't make any mistakes. He said, but you weren't very good. I said, but, I've read everything per. He said, you did, but you weren't very good. And I was like, what are you talking about? He said, now has come the time when you need to understand what groove and feel is. It's not about playing it right. It's about how you express yourself, how you hit the drums, what you're listening to, who you're listening to, right? What the music's interpretation means on how you're going to express yourself. And that's when he got out Steely Dan, and then Steve Gadd, and then blah, 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 blah. And it all came out. He said, now spend between now and your next lesson, say in a month's time, just listen, and understand why they're playing what they play and how they play it. And it was that was it. That was my life, because obviously I had really good hands. I could sight read anything. I mean, the Jim Chapin book, I just went straight through it like that. The Advanced for Modern Drummer, that one.
Yes.
I was the best student at doing that one. But like you said, you know, the icing on the cake is, can you bring out a better groove and a better feel? You need to understand it, and then I can't teach it, but I can explain it to you. You can be aware of it, and now you've got to try and find it. That's what happened. Yeah.
Great. And that's comes up as one of those real key lessons, that one of those points that, oh, that's the thing, that's the direction to go in. And, you know, groove. So what is your take on that? What did you learn about groove that changed your paradigm and just made all the difference?
It was honing, it was fine tuning dynamics, because without dynamics, you've got no groove. Beat placement, making sure that the beat placement was really controlled to the utmost, and recognizing which part of that quarter note I need to play on, the front, the middle, or the back, for what reasons, and then listening back to a groove that I would play and homing in on that to see if it does make me feel good, or am I just playing a groove? I didn't want it to just be, oh, that's page 3, exercise 4. I wanted it to be, oh yeah, I can feel that. And so I played like that, and just messed around with my own playing and not wanting it to sound like an exercise, if that, you know, you get my drift. I had the Joel Rothman book of rock drumming, which is good, fantastic book again, and I went through that again, and I used to record myself because I wanted it. Oh, that I played exercise 4 on page 1, but it doesn't sound like that now. You know what I mean? And play it as written, but I don't want it to be played as written. I need to make it mean something.
Yeah, and that's that difference. It's like you can get something conceptually, but then it's like when you really start to feel it, like, you know, in the body as well, and
that's right,
putting the emotion in it.
It's not necessarily changing anything. This is what people don't understand about feel. You don't necessarily change anything. It's how you go about playing it, and it's such a subtle thing that some, obviously, a lot of Joe's blogs don't get it. They don't get it. Musicians get it, and it's worlds apart. But really, it's only that. But what you get out of it is this flaming world, because something that grooves just eats alive anything else. You can't help but move with it. And that's what you try and search for. And it doesn't matter what you do. It's a slight you play a rock groove and mess around with just a hi-hat. You completely change the whole groove, but you haven't really changed the groove. You're messing around with the dynamic of the hi-hat. And it completely changes how it comes across. And it's things like that. Once you understand how to search for that feeling, that nice feeling, then you just apply it to what you already know how to play.
Yeah, great. And there was a point I heard you say, what I thought was fascinating, which you were talking about finding the right emotion to suit the vibe of the song, right, which is like another part of it. And I'd love to hear how do you apply that in practice? You know, getting in the kind of feeling for the song. Do you have a method that way, or
examples from Heep that I do now?
Yeah, great.
Got a song called Gypsy, 85 BPM roughly, so it's a nice stomping BPM. Bang, bang, gang, gang, gang. Right, so that's telling you something straight away. It's aggressive. So those quarter notes are going to be stamped with authority. Absolutely stamped with authority. And they're going to be smashed right in the middle of the quarter note. There's nothing laid back. There's nothing pushed. The tempo, it's that magic tempo between 80 and 95, I feel, that has got just a swagger about it. It's a walking tempo. It's nice and easy. So the tempo takes care of the groove. It's now the intensity for me. And this is an aggressive song. So I now play it with utmost aggression, as opposed to something like Look at Yourself, which is still aggressive, but Look at Yourself is da 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 da. I play a double bass drum shuffle, not all the way through, part of it, but now it's got a swing. And to me, when it swings, all I think about, even when it's a rock song, this is a rock song, it's still powerful, I'm singing brass lines. Because I've brought up in jazz, the best way of swinging are with jazz players, not anyone else. In that mode, in that kind of swinging big band mode I'm talking about. I'm not talking about, say, a swinging what can I say? Not like, you can swing a groove, can't you? You don't not necessarily thinking about a big band is what I mean. But in this instance, I do, because that helps me really make sure that my dotted notes are swung properly.
Yeah.
I can really get back. And if I've got that going on in my head, right, I can swing with it because I was taught to swing with it like that. I get it, so I apply that into that. And then something that might be like Rainbow Demon's really slow. So that's dirty. That's filthy. That's like, well, I don't want to, it's dirty and filthy. You get the idea.
We can get
so
the idea.
Again,
fill in the blanks.
The rock song as well, it still needs to have an aggressive side, but it's now 75% filth and dirty, and then I do find that putting the emotions of aggression, even a fight, the headspace of a fight, if something's frantic, I put all of those human emotions that we've all got into what I feel that song needs, and it does help me give that flavour. Whether Joe Golds gets it, as I said, I don't know. I hope that my fellow musicians get it, because I hope that they have a similar outlook, maybe not identical to me, but they have a similar way of trying to get those elements out. But that's what I do.
Yeah, great. And it's like singing along, something as simple as that can just make the difference from just having nothing going on and being kind of playing, just to get some kind of vibe happening. And it's like contributes to the enjoyment and the passion of it, which it's palpable, which people can feel that. And some other things I'd love to ask about Heep, and on your journey towards that, what were some of those key lessons that you've learned along the way that really have helped to shape you, perhaps as your career progressed with working with different people?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that one of the biggest things is working with as many different people as possible, because you've got to learn to play with shit players, and you've got to learn to raise your game up with good players, because no band can play better than the weakest link. It's just the way that it is, unfortunately. So sometimes you've got to wind it down, and sometimes you've got to get your act together. So playing with loads of different musicians and doing different gigs, I did the cruise, the boats on the cruise, tons and tons and tons and tons, Little and Large, Tommy Cooper, Bernie Cliff, all the cabarets. I've done the whole flipping lot. So, and you've got different bands in there, some great little MD keyboard players, some bass players who aren't quite on it, who don't get it, and then guitar players are a little bit rushy, all that bit. So all of those things, different things that go on, it triggered me what I need to do as a drummer to glue the thing together. If I had a dodgy bass player, need to run the show. If I've got an accelerating guitarist, I no longer listen to him, that kind of thing, because I can't have people pulling me. People who are asking me to be the glue. The drummers are the glue. Don't care what anyone says. Even though I believe everyone's responsible for the time, not just the drummer. If you rely on a drummer, you're an idiot. You're all responsible for the time, but the gluing person is the drummer. And like in recording studios, the amount of times I've done sessions, and as I said, for some reason in Europe, you have a lot of musicians rush the beat. It's just a European thing. So if you've got a track that you need to lay back on, you've got someone that rushes, I just take him out of my headphone mix.
Right.
Because I can't be stretching the quarter note that much. I want to put down a foundation of great feel and groove and swing or whatever it might be. And if someone's pushing me, I've got a click going, if I've got a click going, and I've got him in front of the beat. That's a crazy thing to try and play to. So I have them taken out straight away, and then I home in on what I feel. If you've got a great bass player, I'll lock in with the bass player, and then at least you've got now the foundation of a rhythm section that's got the platform for everyone else to go on. And the same in a live position. If a live situation, if the guitarist is better than the bass player, I'll now home in on the guitarist and I'll play with him, not the bass player. And that's a very good tip for people. They always think you always work in harmony with the bass player. No, you don't. You work in harmony with the best musician in the band, not the bass player.
Yeah, really interesting point that, just like because so often live there can be that natural push and pull, because no one's got perfect time exactly like a metronome. Well, maybe Jeff Porcaro, you could say, but there's always going to be that movement, and it's like that's that different dimension that happens live, because you could practice it and it's all perfect with a click, but then live, different thing. So really interesting to hear how you navigate that, and monitor's been really cool. And one other thing that I loved hearing about you, how you navigated it, was when you joined Uriah Heep, and I'd love to hear about your audition when you got that. I thought that was pretty cool. Could you talk about it?
Story. And again, it's all full of tips. I did it when I was teaching at BIMM in Brighton for a couple of years. I used to tell them the same thing, because I ended up teaching, I think, about 3 months, and then I got too busy with Heep. So the last 3 months, the students that were lucky enough to be there got to hear it. Basically, what happened was doing a lot of clinics, and one I used to always visit. There's a few I used to go back to the shops year after year after year. They just really enjoyed the clinic. They enjoyed me. I enjoyed doing them, so I get used to asked to go back and do them. And one of them was repercussion in Hull. And Trevor Boulder, who sadly died now, he was the bass player in Heep at the time. Well, he's one of the Spiders of Mars with David Bowie. And when I found out about it, obviously I knew he was a great player and a great bloke. But every time I went up to Hull, Heep were on tour, because I always do a lot of shows. They were on tour. He couldn't make the clinic. Well, this one particular time he could, and he came to see the clinic.
Right.
And afterwards he said, that's some of the best drumming I've heard for a long while. It's absolutely fantastic. He said, you're staying up here, aren't you? I said, yeah, I'm staying up. He said, fancy coming over for lunch tomorrow? Well, of course I'm going to go over there for lunch. I had a good old chat and everything like that. And that was it. Didn't think anything of it. And it was about 8 years later that I got a phone call of Trev. He said, what are you up to, Russ? I used to speak to him regularly, by the way. And he said, well, what are you up to? I said, well, the usual sessions, bits and pieces, grabbing this, grabbing that. He said, we've just signed a recording contract, and we got a world tour for 18 months with it. And our drummer won't last. He's out of shape. He's forgetting things. His just health is not good enough. And so we're getting a new drummer, and I put your name forward. I went, oh, great, brilliant. He said, but the only catch is that the management are doing it, and now we've got 240 drummers auditioning for it. So I went, don't make no difference to me. You know what I mean? Give me more info on it. So he gave me more info. I said, leave it with me. So left it with me. It was about a month later, I think, they were doing the auditions. And I went, right. So I did a bit of research, because I didn't want to join another flipping old band and do that old, but this was different, right? This was a different thing that you sort of dream for, if you like. Oh, right, okay, right. There's two ways I can play this. They've had Lee Kerslake for 37 years. Now, do I imitate him because they're used to him? Or is it my time to be Russell Gilbrook, and I do it how I think it should be done, which might be fresh for them, and they're certainly going to like my energy. Do I take a chance? So I thought, yes, too right, I'm going to be me. Why should I live in the shadows of someone else? I'll be me. So the audition come up. Now, this is a clever thing. They said to me, okay, they whittled it down. There was a lot of chances on the phone. They could tell on the phone, you don't even know what a pair of sticks is by. So the 240 slowly quickly got put down to the last 40 in London over 2 weeks. So they run me up and said, right, okay, we've done 1 week. The second week, can you come in on Monday? I said, well, how long's it going? He said, we're doing Monday to Friday. I said, oh, okay. This was me being clever. I went, Monday? Oh, I said, I'm actually quite busy next week. I'll tell you what, I might be able to move something. Can I do Friday? Yeah, of course you can do Friday. Yeah, what do you want? 12 o'clock? I said, well, what time are you doing it from? He said, well, we're starting at 10 and finishing about 4. I said, right, okay, I'll do 12 o'clock. Right, so we put it down. Deliberately, I rang him up the next day. Oh, I can't do 12 o'clock. I forgot. I've got a dentist appointment. And I've got to get to London and everything like that. I can't do the last one at 4. Can I? I know it's a bit cheeky. No, that's fine. No one's in it. So I created the last audition for myself. You haven't got a big drum kit. We're using the house kit there. I said, oh, no. I said, I'll destroy that in 10 seconds. I said, I'm doing the last one anyway. So I'll just bring my kit and put it up. Oh yeah, that's a great idea. So I wangled the last audition, the last one ever,
Yeah.
and my kit. Of course, I was up there at 9 a.m. because I wanted to hear the competition.
Yeah.
And there were some drummers up there with the headphones on doing this. And you certainly won't get the audition. If you've got to listen to the stuff now, right, you've had it. I've done my homework. So there's 5 songs that they wanted everyone to learn that showed the different technicality and difficulties and stuff. So anyway, they've had a nightmare apparently for the first week. They've had a few people that have nailed it, but they just sound like Lee Kerslake, which was okay, but they weren't very inspired. But a lot of them, I won't name some of the famous drummers that went because it's not fair, but a lot of them, honestly, they were worn out. They couldn't believe that people couldn't play. They weren't doing a double-handed shuffle for easy living. They're going to get. It completely loses the feel. Anyway, some people hadn't learned all the 5 songs. So it comes to me. So I'm setting up. Have you learned the 5 songs? So I said, no. And their faces of horror because they've had such a long day. I said, I've learned the whole set. I can play it, the whole set tomorrow. If you want me to do a gig, I'll do the gig. And you should have the atmosphere and the uplifting and the smiles and the blah, blah. Oh, it was fantastic. So a big tip that was, go the whole mile. If you get preparations, everything. So we did the audition, nailed it, had a jam, standing ovation from the crew. Everyone's clapping like that. I come around the kit, talking to Mick Box. After 10 minutes, hang on a minute. I said, you're talking to me like I've got the audition. He said, you have. Let's go round the pub now and get pissed. That was it.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, a lot of inspiration there, and just that confidence is something I really admire about you, that really can make a difference. And how have you developed that confidence and continue to express it? Was that a conscious process for you, or how did that show up, man?
Yeah, there's always that fine line, isn't there, between confidence and sort of arrogance and blah, blah, blah. I've never been arrogant. I'll go to the pub and play in front of 5 people tomorrow and 100,000 people in Brazil the next day. It makes no difference to me. I like playing drums, right? Yeah. But confidence allows you to get through what potentially could be the only chance you get. In an audition, they're not going to say, come back next week if you completely mess it up. If you've really done your homework and you're confident with the ability of how you play, you take that confidence with you. There's no good with the waterline being here. You know what I mean? Oh my God. You've got to make sure that you're never stretching your ability on anything. And there was nothing there that was difficult for me to play.
Sure.
Even when we did the first song we did, Between Two Worlds, Mick was about to, count it in. I stopped him. I said, hang on a minute. He said, well, I'm just going to give you, I said, I got the tempo. I said, I'll count you in. And I screamed it, and I could feel that they was, oh, I've got someone taking in charge. Jesus. You could feel that from them. And it's a great feeling. And all that does is keeps my nerves out of the equation because I've taken hold of it. And I, because you know what it's like, if you are a good player, there's no reason to be nervous. The situation doesn't dominate because you're well capable of knowing how to play. If something's tricky, the nerves sitting because you're waiting for the mistake. This is a big problem that most people have when they do recording. As soon as they see that red light go on, right, or it's a take, they're now panicking because they're waiting for the mistake. If you wait for the mistake, you're going to make one. You need to be so confident that, I've learned that. I can play like that. Boof, it's done. Job done. And then if they don't like you because of, I don't know, perhaps you sped up in all the fills or the groove wasn't quite as nice as Windsor's up there, then so be it. At least you presented how you want to present it. And when Mick got asked when I got the audition, he said Russ came in and made the drum chair his own. And that's what we wanted. And that was it, really.
Brilliant. Yeah, just that, applied confidence, or that, knowing that you can do it. Like that, I've been exploring this, recently. It's like, because one of the things I'm sure you get asked about that quite a lot. Don't you get anxious, or how do you develop that? And I've been finding that through the repetition of like seeing that I can do it. It's like, that's like one in the cookie jar or the piggy bank that I can draw on. And through that repetition, it's like, yeah, I can do this. It's not such a big deal. So it's, just, finding these strategies that work. And, when you show up from that place, it's like, of confidence, you're given from your overflow.
That's right.
You've got more like gas in the tank, so to speak, which...
For the professionals that are out there, right, if your technique's good, it takes care of everything. If there's a flaw in your technique, it's going to show up big time when you're anxious, because that's what flaws do. If you've got a weak left hand and now the tempo's kicking it and you've got to play a double-handed shuffle and you know that you're going to struggle, when that comes up, what's going to happen? You're going to be in trouble from the first bar. But if you know that you can play at 250 BPM and it's 200, it's a breeze. Your technique will take care of everything if you've got sound technique. And that's what makes the great players great and the good players maybe struggle on certain things, because the floor will raise its ugly head at the wrong time.
Yeah. Interesting perspective when it comes to, what is training and what is preparation, and a real big insight about that. It's like, we all play and we all see that we can perhaps do this bit better. So then it's like, okay, embrace that. Let's work on that, and it's that idea of just being okay with not being able to get something yet, because then that you notice that, then you say, oh, what is it that I do want? And then you can work on that. So just fully embracing it all can make a huge difference. And the other little quick point, it's like whatever level's required, it's like, okay, let's train to a level above that, and then whatever life presents on that level, it's no big deal. It's
that water level again.
Yeah, beautiful. I love the way you said that.
It's for all the musicians. It doesn't matter, but we're talking about drummers at any level now. It's the feelings that have to be comfortable. If you're feeling uncomfortable, you'll get it wrong. You have to make an uncomfortable feeling when it's the left hand doing this or the right foot with the. Once you make that comfortable, you're fine. But people don't practice the uncomfortable feeling enough to make it comfortable. They shy away. And that's why they become okay drummers and not good drummers. Oh, yeah, but I can't just keep doing that because the left hand won't do. Well, then you're going to falter every time that comes up. It won't write itself. It writes itself by slow practice to make that uncomfortable feeling comfortable, and then you speed it up. It's taken care of then. You only learn this stuff once. People don't realise. You only have to learn it once. You don't go backwards. You don't suddenly get your hand speed up to 200 BPM and then next week it's gone down to 100. No. It's hard to get it to 200 BPM. Once you've done it, it stays there.
Yeah, absolutely.
95 years old.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, that language of that has been coming up for me a lot. It's like basically making the uncomfortable comfortable, like, programming the body. Because one of the things that I'm fascinated about is like, the body's got like a memory. We talk about muscle memory, and it's that thing, say, whatever set of songs it is, it's like, okay, we practice it till, I like to practice till I can just hear the whole thing in my head with a click, then I know that I know it. But the thing is, it's like after not having played that set for 2 or 3 weeks, it's festival season, a few weeks gap, it's like the first time back, it's like I can just do it without thinking about it. And that it gives a real sense of trust. You start to trust yourself. It's like if I program the body with quality, it will remember it. Yeah. And that's just such a cool thing that, wow, talk about confidence.
I say to people, when people have got really good hand technique, I say, right, now play paradiddles wrong. They can't, because the technique's so good, it won't go wrong. And that's the state you want to get into. Then you enjoy the musicians and the fans. When I play with Uriah Heep, I don't think about any form of technique, drum for nothing. I know the songs, I know how to play. I enjoy them, and I enjoy my fellow musicians. I don't have to think about the problematic technical thing that's coming up or the timing issue here. No, the bass player's locked with me like a knitted glove, which is fantastic. So I ain't got to worry about him. Right, Mick does push the guitar a little bit, but with live, it doesn't really matter. You get the energy from it. The keyboard player's got a great sense of timing. All I need to do is enjoy playing.
Mm.
But if you've got a hiccup in your playing, you're waiting for that hiccup. Where's it going to come in? Or it happens when it happens. It happens on that song, on that bit, and then that bit. Well, then, what are you concentrating on? Now you're listening to yourself. This is when people turn around and say, you've got to listen to others. You can't listen to others if you're making mistakes because you're not good enough. You've got to take care of your own business before. Even when you're learning an instrument, it's great to listen to others, but you're going to be concentrate more on yourself because you're not in control of what you've got going on yet. You're concentrating because you don't want to make a mistake. You can't listen to your own playing and listen to the bass player with that going on. But you can when your technique takes care. You're just playing, and now the whole thing just you absorb the whole lot.
Yeah, and that's like gets into listening, because I find that when I practice to the level of you can call it unconscious competence, that you're doing it right, but you don't have to think about it. And
Right.
what I find is a magical thing happens. It's like the simplest thing ever. It's that when I don't need to think about Windsor, what's this fill, and then it's like I listen better. Because there's no static in the way, and it's like the simplest thing. You can just enjoy it. It's like the reward for all the work you've done.